Well, my career sort of took a turn, really. Well, as I grew up, I always wanted to be a pilot, and I was an RAF cadet at university. I learned to fly when I was at university. Then I had a bit of a cultural change. I think it was the time of, happiness and psychedelic music in Manchester, and I decided I was a bit of a lover, not a fighter, and I decided to change tack. And I went to university in Bordeaux. I studied winemaking, came back to Britain and thought, food and wine's a very exciting business. And my father was a great chef. My father had 2 Michelin stars. He'd been Egon Rene Chef of the Year. Dad's German, Mum's Swedish. It was kind of, it was just a really exotic thing to do. And also it brings people together. I don't think there's any other career where you're likely to be sitting next to, let's say, a prince and a taxi driver talking about the same thing at the same time. I like that, it's cool. Some people think a palate means you've got this crazy number of taste buds in your mouth or something, or you can smell like a bloodhound and you can sniff out a lamb and butler from 500 yards away, which you can. But the palate isn't here, it's here. The ability to taste a wine and know where it's from and how it's made and how old it is and what vintage it came from is just a huge amount of memory. You have to have tasted those wines before, maybe just once, maybe 10 years ago, and you have to lock that in your memory somewhere so you can use that memory again. So I suppose some people can do it, some people can't. But tasting wine for me and remembering a wine that I've tasted before, and people going, how can you remember that? It's a bit like remembering a picture of someone. If you can encapsulate that memory in all its detail and park it somewhere, then you can remember wines. I love curry. I absolutely love curry. The thing about curry is that people drink beer with it, which is fine. But you don't have to drink beer with it. Wine does go with curry, everyone, right? Wine does go. It's just that wine might be paired with one individual dish. If you say what wine goes with curry, I get asked that a lot. It's a bit like going to the pub on a Sunday and somebody having spaghetti, somebody having fish and chips, somebody having roast beef, and somebody having roast lamb, and somebody going, what wine goes with Sunday lunch? I mean, the depth and variety of Indian food needs to be broken down a bit. It needs to be more respected than, say, what wine goes with curry. Sauvignon Blanc goes with any curry with tomatoes in it. If you have lamb Rogan Josh, which is a lamb dish, you're really tasting more of the sauce than the lamb. I drink a white wine with that, it's delicious. Sauvignon Blanc, lamb Rogan Josh, bosh. Well, I think it probably comes as a shock to some people that there are some wines you can't drink if you're vegan. And thankfully, now it's an issue, they say it. I mean, I used to be a supermarket wine buyer for various supermarkets, I say Waitrose, and we made a very specific point of saying if a wine was vegetarian or vegan on the back, and if you buy the wine list, there's a V next to it. So what's the difference between a vegan wine and a non-vegan wine? I mean, they're made from grapes, right? So the important thing is how they've cleaned the wine, how to make the wine clear. We now use a thing called bentonite, which is just a porcelain clay which you stir into the drink, and once it settles out, you've got lovely, shiny, clear wine with no bits in it. In the old days, they used to use animal parts. Beer and wine was fined using a thing called isinglass, which is made from fish fins, fish cartilage, and also before the big mad cow disease scare back in the early 90s, I think it was 1993 it became illegal, you could actually fine wine, even posh, expensive Bordeaux, with blood. They used pig's blood, cow's blood, because the active ingredient that's in egg whites and pig's blood stuff cleans things out. But because of that, it's no longer used in decent wine anyway. So you really want to just check. But most wines are vegan these days. Just make sure that they are before you drink it. We've only got a few more weeks before we leave the European Union, and because of certain things that the British government won't receive funding for now, they're just going to have to put up the tax on what we drink. So although duty on wine and beer is very, very high already, it's going to escalate. I imagine that a bottle of wine in a supermarket that costs £6 is going to go up to about £7.50 by the end of next year. That's a massive change if you think that the wine in the bottle is only worth about 50p. Also, people think, oh, that's great, I drink Chilean wine anyway, I drink Australian wine. Well, think on, because the only reason why we've had cheap Chilean wine in this country for many, many years, with the biggest drinkers per head of Chilean wine, is because of a deal struck in the EEC. Once we're out of the European Union, we don't get that discount, and Chilean wine goes up by 30% as well. So it just basically means that we're all going to have to drink probably slightly less and drink slightly better. But we're not going to be able to afford to drink cheap crap anymore, simple as that.